Welcome once again to a brand new episode of the Sports-Oriented World Podcast. I'm your host solomonokukuwafua. Thank you to everybody who has joined me along this journey so far. Either you're watching me or listening to me right now on whatever platform of your choice. I hope that you've enjoyed the podcast so far from the previous episodes, and I'm sure most of you have downloaded or have listened or watched it repeatedly, and you can't wait to hear more of what I have to put on your table. Yeah, so today the episode is going to be focused on the weekend review. I did share it in the previous episode because it was a holiday called the Valentine's Day, so I dedicated that episode to all the women in sports, and that's how I had to push it further to another day. And today is another day, so today I'll do two things. Number one, the weekend review from last weekend. As you can remember, in the first two episodes, I was talking about the previews of the matches which were happening last weekend, and I'm sure all of them have already taken place. So I'll go back there. We'll all go back and review how it happened, which will take 30 minutes, and then jump into the other half of the episode, which will now be the midweek preview, because it's mostly football, and that's where I'm going to share with you the fixtures happening in midweek. Now this one is mostly focusing on the top three European club tournaments, which is the UEFA Champions League, the UEFA Europa League, and the Europa Conference League. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And to those of you who want to predict, you can do that along the way as I share with you the fixtures. And then on the other hand, after this episode is done, make sure you download it, make sure you listen to it, and also show me some love by commenting, sharing, liking, and following the podcast via different platforms, which I'll put as soon as this episode is done. But otherwise, thank you for joining in, and let's jump into what we have to discuss. Oh, by the way, the title is Weekend Review and Midweek Preview. Weekend Review and Midweek Preview. Weekend Review and Midweek Preview. Yeah, it may sound a bit awkward, but for lack of better title, let's just give it at that, because it's basically talking about last weekend as we anticipate midweek action. So that's where we're going to go. But without going any further, before I talk about the weekend review, you remember the previous episode I was highlighting players of African origin who have excelled so far in college basketball on the women's side. As I said, dedicate that episode to the women. So today, before I jump into the weekend review, let me give you highlights of the men who have excelled in college basketball so far in the NCAA. Now, if you can remember very well, in the past two previous episodes, I was highlighting four players, both men and women, who are nominated into the mid-season team for the Player of the Year, both the men and the women. And yesterday I gave you more because I was focusing on it by position, and I'm sure most of you who have been following me throughout that episode are well aware of and be able to give props to them. Now today, before I go into the weekend review, let me give you the men's side before I jump into what I have to discuss. Of course, the same way I did for the women, I also did the same for the men. In college basketball, the NCAA basketball, which is, of course, the largest athletic body in the whole world. And today, according to the notes that I've done through my research, I found 7 players who are nominated for different award categories. Now, without any further ado, let me start with the nominees for Defensive Player of the Year, which has four players, one of them being Nathan Mensah, who is of Ghanaian origin and is a forward who plays for the Santiago State and is a senior. So congrats to him for what he has done for the team and what he has done individually. I hope we get to see him in this year's NBA draft, because he's a senior, and senior means he's in his final and 4th year in campus. And no matter the outcome of the college team he plays for, we hope we get to see him in the NBA draft this year, which is happening in the summer. We can't wait for that. And then another nominee is Jonathan Chamwa Chachua. I don't know if my pronunciations are correct for those of you who are listening or watching me from Cameroon or in the United States, but of Cameroonian origin. I hope I got that correct. But moving forward, he's a forward who plays for the Baylor Bears, and he's a junior. So junior means he's in his third year in campus, and what he has done for Baylor, if you look at the top 25 or top 36 rankings according to the different sources, whether it is the net rankings or according to Andy Katz, who is of course behind the top 36 rankings every now and then, his team are well up there, and he has really contributed in one way or the other, and that's how he got the props for nomination for Defensive Player of the Year. And if you look at another nominee, that is Christian Coloco, who is of course of I believe West African origin. He is a center and he plays for the Arizona Wildcats, and he's also a junior. Arizona, once again, one of the best teams in college basketball, and has contributed a lot in one way or another. If you look at the highlights from the team's YouTube channels or even from their websites, he has given you impressive numbers, and that's why he deserved the notes for nomination. And then last but not least, you have a player who is nominated not just one, not just two, but 3 awards. And this person is called Oscar Shiebwe, who is of Congolese origin, who some say it reminds fans of Shaquille O'Neal when he was in college. Now he is a center and he plays for the Kentucky Wildcats. So yeah, and if you look at his individual stats, he has got people talking, and I hope we get to see him in the NBA draft, probably in the first round, because this man is worth being in the first round, and the way he has been performing on a consistent basis, he should be a candidate for the first round pick. It doesn't matter which team is going to, but it deserves to be in the first round of the draft. Now, Oscar Shiebwe is not only nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, he's also nominated for Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. Center of the Year, because I was talking about the Defensive Player of the Year. So he's also nominated for Player of the Year and Center of the Year. So those are 3 awards he's been nominated for. I hope that as he continues to be more consistent and his team performs better, then I believe as the shortlist reduces in numbers, he's going to be in the final shortlist and be able to win those awards. But even if he doesn't win all, or he even wins one, then he still has a great season ahead of him, because there's March Madness, I'm sure, which he's fighting for, and at the same time fighting for a place in the NBA draft. Yeah, so it's both individual and team basis. So congrats to him. And those are your nominees for the Defensive Player of the Year, which has four players of African origin. And then to look at the center of the year in college basketball, like I said, in addition to Oscar Shiebwe, you have Adama Sanogo, who is of Senegalese origin, and is a center for UConn. You all know very well UConn is known for producing one of the greatest players in college basketball history, both the men and the women. You got the likes of Subad, if I'm not wrong, who used to play for UConn, and many other great NBA and WNBA players who have played in that. Even the late Gigi Bryant, Gianna, the daughter of the late Kobe Bryant, who of course both of them died in the helicopter crash. Her dream was to play for UConn. UConn Huskies. She used to follow the games both on the app and also going there personally with the dad, and to the point that UConn retired her jersey number, which was number 2, because that was her favorite number and she loves wearing it. And if my memory serves me right, if either it is number 2 or number 12, whichever it is, just do your research. But yeah, he's known for producing greatest players in college basketball. So Adama Sanogo of Senegalese origin being also nominated for Center of the Year in college basketball. So congrats to you, wherever you are. And then going to shooting guard of the year in college basketball, you have Ochai Agbaji, who is of Nigerian origin, and he plays for the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, Kansas, of course, is one of the best teams in college basketball right now, according to the NAT rankings, and the top 36 being displayed by Andy Katz. every now and then. This man has put impressive numbers, very consistent. His team is one of the best, and yeah, they are a threat to the opposition. And he's not only nominated for Shooting Guard of the Year, but he's also nominated for Player of the Year. So he has 2 award categories worth being watched. And then the last but not least, you have the Point Guard of the Year, which has only one player of African origin, and that is James Akinjo, who is a point guard playing for the Baylor Bears, and of course that means he's the teammate of Jonathan Chachua, and him also providing positive contributions to the team, the Baylor Bears, and that's where he is right now. And also not only being nominated for Point Guard of the Year, but also being nominated for Player of the Year. So 2 awards being watched out according to him. So Oscar Shebwe, to James Akinjo, to Ojai Agbaji, to Adama Sanogo, to Christian Coloco, to Jonathan Shamwa Chachua, and Nathan Mesa, I salute you. Congrats. I hope that as the shortlist gets smaller and smaller, you're going to be on the final shortlist. You'll be able to win those awards, because Africa is watching you, the Black American community is watching you, and we are all proud of you for your current success, and even as you focus on the future success, which is of course participate in the March Madness and be able to win the grand title of being national basketball champions in college. So congratulations, and continue to be yourself, be more consistent, work harder, be better than yesterday, and you'll see yourself being one of the greatest. So that is just the shout out that I had to say that, and I hope that I get to hear from them if they are going to listen to this or watching this, and I hope I don't take this for granted, because I really love highlighting players of African origin, either they are native or diaspora. I still have to highlight them either way, because they really deserve the props for their hard work and their work ethic. And congrats to all of them once again. Now jumping into the weekend review, I'm going to start with the CAF club tournaments which happened last weekend, both on Friday, starting on Friday, which is 11th, then Saturday and Sunday, which was 12th and 13th. So to begin with the CAF Champions League, whereby there are a number of fixtures that happened. There was supposed to be 8, only 7 played because one was postponed, because Al Ahly had duties in Abu Dhabi for the FIFA Club World Cup, which by the way they played very well and they finished third, after beating Al Hilal 4-0, Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia, and then finishing 4th, and Al Ahly of Africa finishing 3rd. Congrats to them once again. Pitso Mosemane continue to prove critics wrong, and I hope that his name gets to be known in European football, and one day gets to be enrolled into coaching one of the big clubs in Europe, because he has really earned it, and people should not take it lightly wherever they are. So I'm going to give you the summary of how the groups fared during the opening match day of the CAF Champions League, as put here on the CAF website, which I'm looking at it now. Starting with Group A, with defending champions Al Ahly away on FIFA Club World Cup duties, the Mamelodi Sundowns took advantage to go top of the group after a nervy but assured 1-0 win of the Sudanese side Al Hilal. Like I said, this match was a tight match, and yeah, it was won by slim margin, so I got that one correct. So the Sundowns winning by 1-0 was not a surprise. I knew they were going to win it, and that's how Group A ended. And then in the next round fixtures, which is match day 2, as is being put according to the website, Al Hilal is going to play at home to Al Ahly, which is on February 18th, and then El Merreikh will play at home to the Mamelodi Sundowns, which is on February 19th. Now both matches are going to be played in Omdurman. The only difference is the dates and of course the time. So that's how Group A went out in the CAF Champions League. Then if you go to Group B, according to CAF, the CAF's website, the version they are saying that the Racha Club Athletic also started their campaign on a high with a slim 1-0 victory over debutants Amazulu. Like I said, this was a no-brainer because Amazulu are playing their debut in this tournament, and Racha Club Athletic, which of course also means Raja Casablanca. Playing at home, having a very tight match, which is won by slimmest of margins, so they deserve that win. And going forward, ES Setif second in the group after also earning a 1-0 victory on the opening day, winning away to Horoya of Guinea. So my predictions so far went well, and I don't want to take that lightly because I'm a fan of African football and all the other sports, so long as it has an African perspective. Now the next round of fixtures happening in Group B is ES Setif is going to play Raja Club Athletic, be played there in Algeria, and then Amazulu playing at home to Horoya. Both of them being played on February 18th, which is basically this Saturday. And for the Group A, which I mentioned earlier on, they are also playing this weekend. So in short, the next match day is going to be played this weekend on the February 18th and 19th. Then moving forward to Group C, it's saying that Esperance assumed leadership of Group C with a massive 4-0 win over Botswana debutants Jwaneng Galaxy. Like I said, Esperance is going to whoop them because this is another debutant in the tournament called Jwaneng Galaxy of Botswana, and they have really put in the effort, but as the article says, Galaxy were handed a baptism of fire in continental football, this time being the first time ever they are playing at this stage. So that's how it went down there. And then going into the next match which happened, of course, Etoile du Sahel and CR Belouizdad are second and third respectively, having played to a 0-0 draw. Like I said, this was a North African derby, and I think that one I got it correct. I told you it was at least a draw or won by a slim margin. The game was played in Rades, with Belouizdad living with regrets after missing a late penalty. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. That should be a game winner, and they wasted that chance. So the next round of fixtures, Jwaneng Galaxy are playing at home to Etoile du Sahel, played on February 19th, and they say Belouizdad is going to have another North African derby, this time against Esperance. So that's how it's going down in Group C. And then going to Group D, Wydad Club Athletic, also known as Wydad Casablanca, the two-time winners of the Champions League, also started their campaign on a high with a 3-0 thrashing of Angola Sagrada to move top of the group. Like I said, no-brainer. Sagrada playing their debut, so what do you expect? Baptism of fire, and that's what they got. 3-0 thrashing victory for Wydad Casablanca. This one says the Egyptian giants Zamalek meanwhile needed a late equalizer to scrap a point at home in a 2-2 draw with Petro Atletico. Like I said, these matches are tight. It's either a draw, which I predicted, or won by slim margin by Zamalek. But I predicted a draw and I still got it correct. So my prediction so far in the CAF Champions League is on point. Don't want to brag too much, but I've really predicted it correct. I said it was either a draw for some of them or won by slim margins for most of them. Now, next round of fixtures, Petro de Luanda are going to play at home to Wydad Club Athletic on February 19th, and also Sagrada Esperanza is going to play at home to Zamalek on February 19th too. And once again, both games are going to be played in Luanda. The only difference is the time and not the date. So that's how it's going down in the CAF Champions League. That's how it happened last weekend, and the fixtures that are coming up this weekend on February 18th and the 19th. And then moving forward into the CAF Confederations Cup, as written by CAF.com. In Group A, all the favorites held their rank. Pyramids of Egypt won 2-1 over Al Ahly Tripoli of Libya. Like I said, this was a derby, but it's going to be won by slimmest of margin. So I get that one correct. With goals from Islam Issa and Walid El Kati against an achievement by Mohamed Al Tuba, being is the one who scored for Al Ahly Tripoli. Now, the other match in the group saw the very late success of CS Vaxions' 1-0 win against Zanaco with a goal from the penalty spot by Mohamed Ben Ali in the 97th minute. Like I said, won by slimmest of margins, and of course the North Africans will always win against the Sub-Saharan Africa. So that's how it went down in Group A. Now in the match day 2 fixtures will be Zanaco playing at home to Pyramids, and then Al Ahly Tripoli playing at home to CS Vaxi. So that's how it went down in Group A. They're going to Group B. Only one match was on the program in Group B. The opportunity for Orlando Pirates to take the lead along with the 2-0 win success over Jeunesse Sportive de Saoura, or JS Saoura, which of course is an Algerian club. the only game happened in Group B. Orlando Pirates playing at home, winning 2-0, and I see this one as a shock because JS Saoura, of course, a way better club, bigger budget, more experience, but still Orlando Pirates beat them 2-0. So that one, let's say I've lost my 100% record according to my predictions. Now, what happens to the Royal Leopards? They'll have to wait for match day 2 to be able to kick off their debut. And of course, this is a club from Eswatini, and Eswatini being in this big stage in Africa is a success. Now, going to Group C, TP Mazembe made the best operation of this day in Group C. Victory of the Ravens at home against AS Ato is what happened in that match. So, like I said, Congolese derby, one from DRC, the other one from the Republic of Congo, very tight, and that side went down, won by slimmest of margin. So I continue that impressive record as I speak. Now, just before I go any further, the fixtures happening in day 2 for Group C, Group C, it's going to be JS Saoura playing at home to JS Kabylie, and then Royal Leopards playing at home to Orlando Pirates. Now, going to where I left off, there was a goalless draw between Cotton Sport and Al Masry in Garoua. I'm sure they used one of the stadiums which was played in AFCON not so long ago for their CAF Confederations Cup match, and it ended goalless. So I still have a good record of prediction. Like I said, playing against North African playing against the Sub-Saharan is somehow tight, only to be either a draw or won by slimmest matches. Yeah, so that's how it's going down in Group C in the CAF Confederations Cup. And the fixtures for match day 2, AS Ato are hosting Cotton Sport and Al Masry are hosting TP Mazembe. And then in Group D, spectacle and many goals in the 2 meetings of Group D. In the first hour, Simba won easily ASEC Mimosas 3-1 with in particular a jewel of the Senegalese Pape Ousmane Sako. Wow, look at that. 3-1 by the time it was half time. I mean, that was a wrap. And you know, Simba, the best East African club, proving critics wrong and being that benchmark for East African football. I mean, look at what they have done. They are playing at home and winning 3-1 in front of their owner, Mohamed Duji, who is of course a Tanzanian billionaire and the youngest African billionaire, watching it on the stands. Wow, impressive win, they deserve it. And now, Renaissance of Berkane, the winner of the tournament in 2020, does better. A wide success with that 5-3 scoreline against the small towns of Niger's USGN. Of course, USGN playing their debut in the tournament from Niger, play against the RS Berkane, who are more experienced. What do you expect? Baptism of fire. That's how they were worked. 5-3, meaning an 8-goal thriller. Now, in match day 2 fixtures, how is it going down? ASEC Mimosas are playing at home to Berkane, and then USGN playing at home to Simba. So that's what was happening in African football, club football, but the CAF Champions League and CAF Federations Cup. Now, moving along, we're talking about the Fiba Intercontinental Cup, which also happened on the same weekend, which passed, last week. And Zamalek, the Basketball Africa League champions, finished 4th, which is I can't speak negative about. I think they have tried their best, but yeah, it wasn't their weekend in terms of their efforts, but they finished 4th, meaning they were last in that tournament according to the tournament rankings. So in their first game they played, it was in the semi-final. They lost by 17 points to San Pablo Burgos of Spain, and then when they played for 3rd place, they lost by 35 points to the Lakeland Magic of the United States of America, which is in the NBA G League, which is the young brother in quotes team of the NBA, which is of course in this perspective being the Orlando Magic. Yeah, so that's how it went down there. Of course, the tournament taking place in Cairo, and the one who won the title was Flamengo, which played a fire against San Pablo Burgos, who finished runners-up, and then Lakeland Magic finishing 3rd, and of course Zamalek finishing 4th. Now the next assignment for Zamalek is to defend the BAL title, which is going to kick off in March, and then being playing in the Nile Conference. They have huge composition, very interesting opposition to fight against. Let's see how they're going to defend the Basketball Africa League title, as all the group stage games are going to be played in Cairo. And then moving along, there was the Super Bowl, which happened last Sunday, happening in Los Angeles, California, and there were 6 players of African origin who took part in the Super Bowl, although maybe most of them did not play due to injury. But out of the six players of African origin, one of them was a Super Bowl champion. Now, this player called Ogbonna Okoronkwo, of Nigerian origin, who plays for the Los Angeles Rams. The team won the Super Bowl after coming back from several points down to beat the Cincinnati Bengals by 23 points to 20. Now, the stadium was almost sold out. They had a wonderful time, especially the halftime concert, which was led by Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, Anderson .Paak, 50 Cent, and many more. And yeah, the 15-minute show made a buzz online soon after that. And for people like LeBron James who watched on the stands, VIP stands, you have Jay-Z, Beyonce, Ye, who's of course formerly Kanye West, 2 Chainz, Wiz Khalifa, Cardi B, Offset, all of them being in attendance to watch that spectacle, not just in entertainment but also in the sporting world. And what a game! I mean, this game had 43 points altogether, and it had all the ingredients. Lead changes, a bit of controversy here and there, but what a game! If you're wondering how do I watch the replay, if you go to the NFL's YouTube channel, I'm sure they have not posted it unless they have, but you'll have to wait like at least a week or two to be able to get the full replay of the Super Bowl. Either it's going to come the way it is or it's going to be converted into a movie, but either way, watch it and you find yourself looking like you are there live but not. So that's how it went down in Los Angeles, California. Of course, some few records being put there. Now the Los Angeles Rams becomes the second team to win it in their home stadium, even though they are the away team, but they are the home team in quotes because they are basically playing away and the Cincinnati Bengals are playing at home. But in terms of the location of the stadium, they are basically at home. So then number 2, Odell Beckham Jr. wins his first Super Bowl after playing for 2 teams previously. That was the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns. Now playing in his 3rd team, finally gets to have a Super Bowl ring on his finger. And also for Matthew Stafford, who was drafted in 2009, already playing more than a decade. Now him having a Super Bowl ring means that his Hall of Fame status is already certain and guaranteed for a spot in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And also maybe Odell Beckham Jr. because he's one of the greatest wide receivers. And having that partnership between the two is really vital for the success of the team. So props to both of them, to Ogbonna Okoronkwo, the only African in the Ram squad, and even to the owner, Stanley Kroenke, who's of course the richest billionaire who makes most of his wealth from sports teams. So yeah, that's how it went down in Los Angeles. And then of course, going to MMA, there's a fight between Robert Whitaker and Israel Adesanya. Of course, Israel Adesanya is the defending middleweight champion, which is of course the 3rd highest weight class. If you look at the weight divisions, the way MMA put it out, or the UFC is of course being led by Dana White, and they fought it out on Saturday in Houston, Texas. And once again, Adesanya didn't disappoint, but it had to come down to slim margins because he won by points and not by either unanimous decision or knockout. But Adesanya gets to rule, and he's the style bender according to his Instagram name. So he normally likes doing all these cartoonist stunts, walkovers, but yeah, when it comes to serious business, he does it all with all his heart and might. And so congratulations to Israel Adesanya. Continue to be the king of the middleweight division. Now, speaking of news in the MMA, Now, there's a lot that is happening to Francis Ngannou. Of course, he's the defending heavyweight champion, which is the highest weight class according to the MMA weight division class, and he has a lot to deal with. You look at number one, he's dealing with injury right now after suffering a number of injuries after his win over his longtime friend and former partner, that is Cyril Gane. And not only injury, but also he had things to do with him wanting to transition to boxing, because he said boxing was his lifelong dream of doing, but even though he started with MMA, but he's hoping to transition to boxing. As you've noticed nowadays, athletes who are from either the MMA or who are either from wrestling or boxing, they are transitioning in between. So it is either MMA to boxing or vice versa. Either you hear boxing going to MMA and vice versa, or either you're hearing wrestling going to boxing and vice versa. Now you see people like Jake Paul, his brother Logan Paul. You are seeing even Conor McGregor. You see guys like Brock Lesnar. You see people like Ronda Rousey, who are all famously known for doing such transitions between sports, and it has really developed them a lot, and it has given them flexibility in terms of their physicality, and we've seen it bearing fruit in different aspects. That not only does he have to do that, but also financial wise, there are two aspects to talk about. One is about fighter pay, because he has really advocated for equal fighter pay among the fighters in the roster. I believe he's fighting for those of black origin, and at the same time maybe pay disparity and the like, and he has been advocating for that for some time, and he's asking for help from the UFC to be able to do something about it, and even asking his fellow African brothers, that is Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit, be able to gag up together and support this cause, because fighters of African origin are not paid the same as those who are white or those who of different races, and not only of talking about the race perspective, but also the way they have performed for the UFC, because UFC really pays them big time, depending on how you pay, how you fight it out, depending on how the contract has been stated. And already, speaking of contract, the contract negotiations is also something that is dealing with, and between him and Dana White, I think they have been at locals for some time. I don't know how long this is going to be, because Africa is watching him, and we have his back, and we're hoping that he gets all those situations sorted out. And last but not least, he wants to bring MMA to Africa, like bringing an MMA fight to Africa. Now, according to him, in a recent interview or conversation with the host, if you go online, he's saying that he wants to do it with either with the help of UFC or without the help of UFC. Now, what does that tell you? Now, it tells you that he has really achieved a lot. He has come from, if you look at his story from when he was in Cameroon and he had to cross past the Mediterranean to reach France and start slowly to his MMA career, and now look at where he is. I think him coming back to his roots is really testimonial and really a blessing for Africa, because he has really made Africa to be known in the MMA world, because way before, yes, they used to be pioneers, but they didn't reach to that level of success like the way Ngannou and Adesanya and Usman are right now. And him saying that he wants to bring MMA fights to Africa with those three leading the front, and be able to maybe along the way create a platform for future African MMA fighters to be at that certain level like the way they are, because it really pays them a lot, and it's normally paid on a basis of the number of fights at different locations across the world, and they really deserve to do that. And even if the UFC don't want to help him, of course, Dana White being mum about it, being quiet about it, it's okay, they can continue. And let's hope that they have a financial backer for that type of venture, because it really takes investment to be able to do such a massive opportunity. So congrats to all of them, by the way. Israel Adesanya continue to reign in the middleweight. We had this fight last weekend. Francis Ngannou, of course, defending his heavyweight title, which he had his fight few weeks before the one for Addison, and of course Kamaru Usman, who is the defending welterweight champion. So congrats to the three, and I salute them with that gesture. So now, moving along, yeah, that's it for the weekend review. Now, the midweek preview is where I'm going in right now, and the focus is going to be, of course, the UEFA Champions League, the UEFA Europa League, and the UEFA Europa Conference League. Now, in total, 20 matches are going to happen from Tuesday all the way to Thursday. Now, Tuesday is today, being February 15th, and then all the way to 17th, that is Thursday, February 17th. So that's how it's going down. So 20 matches in total, being that 4 of them being the Champions League, 2 of them tonight, 2 of them the next day, and then on Thursday, February 17th, there's going to be 16 matches now, 8 being in the Europa League and 8 being in the Europa Conference League. Now, out of the 20 matches that are happening in between that span, I've taken the top 10, so that it is something that you guys can predict. You know, we like predicting the hard ones and not the easy ones, because if you predict the easy ones, it's going to be easy money and you won't gain that much. But if you take the hard ones and you take a risk, I think that will give you more money. And to begin with, let's start with the UEFA Champions League. What is going down tonight and also tomorrow? Of course, tonight being the 15th, there are 2 matches today. Which is, of course, Sporting CP of Portugal play against Manchester City of England. Now, Sporting CP are of Portugal. They are right now playing very well in the domestic league. And if you look at Manchester City in the Premier League, they're on top, you know, by I believe 9 points or more. And going into this game, if you see both teams the way they have played domestically, and even as they move on to this match, it's going to be very tight but not very hard, because Man City have a better caliber of players. They are, you know, well composed, and they have, you know, a brand of football that is way too difficult for the opposition to really crack. And I think playing this game in Lisbon, which is the first leg, is something that I think Sporting Lisbon will have to take many notes about, because Man City are very good on both sides of the field. And going into this game tonight in Lisbon, I think for Man City, remember the last time Man City played in Lisbon, I think they had a loss, and I think it's not a good ground for them, depending on how you see it. But going into this game, the first leg, Man City should really get the win impressively, because you look at Raheem Sterling, he was man of the match in the Premier League in last weekend. They played Norwich, where they won 4-0, the clean sheet from Addison. So if they now bring back the main squad, in their last game, which was the Premier League game, Guardiola rotated the squad, I think by half of the total number of players, and still they gave that impressive win. So that shows that no matter which type of team Guardiola puts in, they're able to give you impressive results. So I see this game with Man City putting in their regulars and play against Sporting Lisbon, who of course that was the former team of Bruno Fernandes, but being led by, you know, a very good team, mostly people who have played for the Portuguese national team, with the captain Cristiano Ronaldo. But we don't have to underestimate them. They finished they finished runners up in the group, where they had Ajax, they had Borussia Dortmund, and also Besiktas. And you don't have to underestimate them. But in this game, the way I see it, I'll give this one Man City maybe a 2-0 win, if you want to maybe put in the numbers. So that's how it's going down. And then also the game tonight is the Kylian Mbappe derby. You know, the Kylian Mbappe derby, which of course between PSG and Real Madrid. Now the first leg tonight is going to be played in Paris, the city of love, the home of the Parc des Princes, the home of the now destroyed Love Bridge, where you go and put your padlocks in, maybe as a sign of commitment, and maybe for lovebirds. I'm sure most of you have missed the Love Bridge as of Valentine's Day, which happened yesterday. That was one of the favorite hotspots, especially for lovebirds who love going there from time to time. And anyway, straight to the game tonight. PSG had an impressive win last weekend in Liga, whereas Real Madrid, without Karim Benzema, I believe that was no problem from them playing in La Liga. But going into this game, according to reports, it's most likely that Benzema, the captain of Real Madrid, might not play due to injury. We don't know for how long. And it's going to be also, on the other hand, this is Mbappe's chance to show his future employer what he has on the table. And we all know very well Mbappe is one of the best young players born in the 21st born in 1999, or should I say under 23, and he has really performed well so far for PSG. If Messi and Neymar don't perform to their best, and this is Mbappe's show. I don't see any other player. I don't see a Messi, Vinicius show. I don't see any other. This is the Mbappe show. If he performs very well for PSG, they can go far as soon as far as the semi-finals. But right now, focus on improve your future employers. By the time you're done with the two legs, who knows? They might meet each other once again in the final or in the semis, or even the quarterfinals, depending on how this time will look like. So that's what is going down tonight. So both games will happen tonight on 15th February, and the second leg will happen on the 9th of March. And then going into tomorrow, which is 16th of February, two more games happening. So one being Red Bull Salzburg playing at home to Bayern Munich, and then also Inter Milan playing at home to Liverpool. Now, if you look at, first of all, Red Bull Salzburg play against Bayern Munich, I see this as a derby of some sort. Why? Because this is Germany versus Austria. They're both neighbors, and both of them are the best teams in their respective countries. You look at Red Bull Salzburg, the best team in Austria for more than 5 years, and then Bayern Munich, the best team in Germany for already a decade. And the way they played recently, especially in the last game last weekend, for Bayern Munich, they lost by 4-2, even though Lewandowski scored both of them. It was way done and dusted after Bochum already scored the 3 goals before halftime. And I think that is something worrying, because this is unlike Bayern conceding many goals to lesser known opposition, not rivals like Dortmund and Leipzig, but to a lesser known opposition like VfL Bochum, who are not a regular in the Bundesliga, because they are always relegated to the second or third division. And they're going to this game. I see this one will be very tight. I think it's going to depend on which department will be better than the other. Either it is the striking, either it is the midfield, or the defense, or even the goalkeeper, because at times the goalkeeper are the ones dictating the game, depending on how they play it. Either it's the number of saves or keeping the clean sheet. I mean, who knows? You have on one hand, you have Karim Adeyemi of the Red Bull Salzburg team, who is of Nigerian origin and is also a Muslim. You have, Szoboszlai on the other side, who is playing for Bayern Munich. You know very well, Szoboszlai used to play for Red Bull Salzburg, and at one time there was a game where they played against Bayern Munich, and Szoboszlai, who is of Hungary, did some damage to them, even though they didn't win. But let's see how that game goes tomorrow, being played in Salzburg. And I'm sure for the owner, Dietrich Mateschitz, he'll be watching this game wherever he is around the world. And then the other game happening tomorrow night, Inter Milan playing at home to Liverpool. Now for Inter Milan, they had a draw against Napoli last weekend, and them now playing at home to Liverpool. It's going to be very tight, of course. Liverpool, who of course had a good game last weekend, and them traveling to Milan. It's going to be very interesting. As you're all aware, Milan, the city of Milan is experiencing cold weather of some sort, and I believe the cold weather will somehow favor Inter Milan. But who knows what is going to happen in that game? I mean, Jurgen Klopp knows how to really maneuver and get the goals and get the win. But I think I'm seeing this game as a draw from the look of things. And by the way, I forgot to predict, put my own prediction PSG Real Madrid. I see that game as a draw, because I mean, anything can happen, and whatever department that will dictate the other will somehow make a difference. But I see that as a draw. Hopefully both sides score goals. Yeah, for Inter, going back to the Inter Liverpool game, of course you have the front three back now that Sadio Mane is back, with Mohamed Salah runners up after both of them played against each other in the AFCON final. on the first Sunday of the month of February, and wow, it was very interesting for the African football lovers who watched it. You know how it went down, and so now they are back again as teammates at Liverpool. So Klopp will be looking at both of them and seeing how they are going to orchestrate together and be able to provide the goals for Liverpool. But we see how that game goes in Milan, by tomorrow night. So both games will happen tomorrow on the 16th of February, and then the second leg will happen on the 8th of March. So that's how it's going down in the Champions League for this week, starting February 14th, 15th, all the way to the 16th of February. And then jumping forward to the Europa League, now there are 8 games happening, and out of the 8, I chose the top 3 matches, and those matches are RB Leipzig versus Real Sociedad, and then Barcelona versus Napoli, and Porto against Lazio. So out of the 8 games in the Europa League, now this tournament is on the knockout playoffs, so this is like a play-in on a home and away basis. So whoever wins this gets to officially qualify for the main knockout stages, which begins in the round of 16, and you have the likes of Lyon, Monaco awaiting in the round of 16. And so that's how it's going down, happening on Thursday, 17th of February. And start with RB Leipzig versus Real Sociedad. This is going to be very spicy game. I imagine Matt Sheets will have to watch Red Bull Salzburg playing on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, and then you have RB Leipzig playing the day after tomorrow, playing at home to Real Sociedad. I think this one is going to be won by sequence of matches. You have Alexander Isak and Porto playing for Real Sociedad, who have done impressively for the team already in the past few months in this season. And look at RB Leipzig, they have gone through hills and valleys, but they are still consistent, still in the top 6, top 7, and I can't wait for them to see what they're going to do when they're playing at home in Leipzig. So I see this one as a draw, just to predict. And moving along to the tie between Barcelona playing at home to Napoli. Remember very well, Barcelona played the Barcelona derby against Espanyol. It had a 2-2. So a bit of inconsistency. Maybe the coach did a rotation to be able to focus on that game against Napoli, which they are hosting. Now Barcelona have gone through ups and downs this season. I believe this should be their worst in a very long time at this stage of the season. And going into this game, I think if the star players are back, players like Ousmane Dembele, Luc De Jong, Frenkie De Jong, even the goalkeeper Ter Stegen, if they play to the utmost best, you have the players like Samuel Umtiti, Gerard Piqué, Jordi Alba, Sergi Busquets, the captain. If they can play to the utmost best, even Sergio Dest, I think they're going to get the goals and get the win. But at the same time, Napoli came from an impressive 2-2 draw, which at the same time lost their chance of really finishing on top of the league by the end of the weekend. But going this game is going to be determined by one or two factors, which is of course the midfield and the striking force. Of course, on one hand you have Lorenzo Insigne, who very soon, by the end of this season, is going to Toronto FC, which he has already signed the contract during the winter transfer window. And you have guys like Victor Osimhen, players like Kalidou Koulibaly is already back in Naples after the AFCON final success, and now being back in Napoli, now focusing on reaching very far in the Europa League and also finishing on top by the end of the season in the Serie A. So it's going to be very interesting. I see this one once again as a draw, depending on which department will play better than the other for the opposition. And then another one to watch out for is going to be FC Porto playing at home to Lazio. Yes, so that's another one to look out for, because FC Porto, who are just from the Champions League, being knocked out after finishing third in the group, which had AC Milan, it had Liverpool, and also this other team that finished bottom. The group was really tight there, so to speak, and only Liverpool and yeah, Liverpool and I believe it's Atletico Madrid. Yes, yeah, Atletico Madrid qualifying out of that group. So in that group it had FC Porto, Liverpool, Atletico Madrid, and AC Milan. So AC Milan finished bottom, FC Porto finished third, going to Europa League knockout playoffs. Then Liverpool and Atletico Madrid going to the round of 16. So in this game, play against Lazio, it's going to be also a very tight game. You have players like Sergio Oliveira, who is leading the team, and then on the other side you have Ciro Immobile. So I believe those two are key players to watch out for. And if I was predict, this one is going to be a draw also, because anything can happen. I just can't predict exactly. So 8 games are going to happen in the Europa League knockout playoffs. So I've chosen the top 3 for the listeners and viewers to really predict and see what is going down on that day. And it's up to you guys. Say something, share your comments in whatever platform that you're using, either is on an audio format or on an audio format. Yes, I like to know, so that we engage and see how we get to see who's predicting better than the other by the time those matches have happened. And then going to the UEFA Europa Conference League, there are also 8 games, and they are also in the knockout playoff stage, where it is also like a playing home and away basis, whereby whoever wins this 2-leg tie gets to join in the official knockout stages, which begins in the round of 16. You have teams like Feyenoord who are already there in that particular tournament. You have AS Roma who are already there awaiting. So we see how these knockout playoffs get to turn out. So out of the 8 teams, I've taken top 3 to watch out for. Now it may not be that interesting, but it's worth something to watch if you have no other choice on each other channel to watch in sports. So you have Marseille, Olympic Marseille playing at home to Karabakh, that is of Azerbaijan. You have Leicester City playing at home to Renders of Denmark. Then you have Rapid Vienna of Austria playing at home to Vitesse Arnhem. Now, speaking of the Marseille Karabakh match, I don't see this game really much to give input to, but never underestimate teams that are from lesser known football nations in Europe. So in this case, Karabakh or Azerbaijan. Now, Karabakh has been a regular in European club tournaments. They have ever played the Champions League, in the Europa League, and now in the Europa Conference League. So them playing away to Marseille is going to be a tall task, especially look at travel. Look at even the way they have to travel from Azerbaijan, which is in the Caucasus region, all the way to Marseille, which is on the south coast of France. So it's going to be very tight. I know, long trip, tiredness, but by the time going into that game, yes, they may be well prepared, but I don't see them giving that much input. So I believe Marseille should win this game. And then the next game, be Leicester City playing at home to Renders of Denmark. So Renders, of course, not that experienced in European club football, but Leicester are already experienced. So I see this game being won impressively. Maybe if they can get a clean sheet, you have players like Kelechi Iheanacho, who's back from AFCON, Wilfred Ndidi, who's back from AFCON. You have Jamie Vardy, James Maddison, Kasper Schmeichel, the captain. You have Sajla Soyuncu. You have Yannick Vestergaard. You have Pereira, who is the fullback. It's going to be, I think, not that interesting, but it's something worth watching because there's no other option on that day. So Leicester City should get a win, if you were to ask me. And then last but not least, you have Rapid Vienna playing host to Vitesse Arnhem of Netherlands. Now for Vitesse Arnhem, they are given a walkover because they are supposed to play their final game away to Tottenham Hotspur, and Tottenham Hotspur, on the day of that match, they announced that they had positive COVID cases, and UEFA had to cancel it and give the points to Vitesse because Tottenham honored the fixture, even though they had written the letter that asking for postponement till further date, only for UEFA to say due to fixture congestion for both clubs, they decided to cancel it and give the 3 points to Vitesse. That is how they qualified as runners up. Now for them playing away to Rapid Vienna, I think for me this one is going to be very interesting. They are both, if you look at the UEFA Association ranking, they are both like neck to neck, even the gap is not that wide. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think this one can go out to a draw. Even though if you see Vitesse playing the 5 group stage games, when they are of course in the same group with Spurs, really giving a run for their money. So I believe this game is going to be a draw, and we all know that games like this, anything can happen. And because it's a home and away basis, it's no longer a group stage format. Anything can happen on both sides of the match. So if you see a first leg is like the first half of the full match, and the second leg is like the second half of the full match. So I think those are the games to watch out for. And if I check on my notes, I don't know if I've left anything. I think that's it for me. That's the weekend review and the midweek preview. Let me say that title again: the weekend review and the midweek preview. Yeah, it sounds a bit of tongue twisting, but that's how it's going down in the world of sports. So that's a wrap. Thank you to everybody who has watched this video and to everybody who has listened to this audio, either you're a viewer or a listener on whatever platform of your choice. The only thing that I need you to do is now help me show some love by commenting on whatever platform you're in, by liking it, following it, and even sharing it to your loved ones and even to your enemies and acquaintances, because this platform is for you. It's not about me. It's all about you, the fans, the listeners, the viewers, be able to give you the best of sports stories from an African perspective, and to be able to give you that entertainment and that information, be able to make those choices in terms of predictions, in terms of analysis, and the way how you see things. Moving forward, this podcast is going to be one of the most popular in whatever platform that is out there in the world, because I want to make sure that the podcast is going to be known not only on Spotify, not only on YouTube, but also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, also on Google Podcasts, also on Mdundo for those who are listening in East Africa. So it's going to be all this. It's going to be widespread, and making sure that it's going to be a Mexican wave of popularity. So if you can do that for me and show me some love as I do that for you every time I put it content, then you guys are also doing your part and making sure that this network grows and grows and becomes one of the largest, or should I say, bragging, be the largest podcast network in the world ever done by Africa. So that's it. Until the next episode. Now, speaking of the next episode, now the next 2 episodes will dodge away from the usual sports stories. So we are going to be talking about the business of sports, where I'm going to be focusing on 2 trends that have been happening in the sports business world. Now, one of them being the DAO, which stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which I'll explain to you tomorrow in the next episode. And then in the episode after that, is going to be talking about Spark. Now, Spark represents a special purpose acquisition company. Now, these two have been trending in the sports business community, even the way the business of sports is being run, and these two hopefully will be the future of sports in terms of the business side of it. So those are the previews on what the next episodes will be about. It's going to be a 2-episode series which will be focusing on sports business, which I'll give an official one in the next episode. But that's it for me, Solomonokukuwafua. To everybody who is viewing or listening, make sure you do that: comment, like, share, subscribe, follow. And as you do that for this network, I'll also be able to respond to what you've heard or what you have watched, and let's grow this family together and see it grow further and further. So from wherever you are around the world, I hope you are blessed, I hope you are informed, I hope you are entertained, and until the next episode, it's goodbye from me.